then it's split into 4 sections: background, the reasons for implementing the EMI scheme. EMI scheme means English as the medium of instruction. And then there'll be some findings about the problems and the advantages of this system, and finally I'll have some recommendations. Okay, so as I explained to you, EMI, English as the medium of instruction. And this has been implemented in these 3 universities that you can see on the screen. They're examples of it according to Wu in 2006. Okay, so why they introduced this scheme? Well, one reason is that obviously English is increasingly becoming the language of international education, as Coleman states. And Crystal, well, slightly out of date, very out of date, but 14 years ago he said that there were more teaching and research materials available in English. So there's a strong reason. However, there are some problems related to implementing this policy. First one is students. The students, according to Chang, have some problems with understanding lectures. And there you can see on the screen that for the majority of the students, for about 80%, they don't really understand a lot of the lecture. Okay? You see there's this group here, 40.3% only understand a half or 3/4 of the lecture. So that's obviously a problem. They can't understand all the material in the lecture. So what are the reasons why they can't understand the lecture? So this is the opinions of professors and students of why students can't understand lectures, and it's from Chien's study in 2011. Both agree that vocabulary deficiency is a problem, and both can see the same kind of problem. When it comes to reading skills, professors think it's a big problem, but students don't think it's a big problem, which perhaps means that students aren't aware of the problems that they have, but professors can see it. Okay. Also, another problem may be lack of preparation for classes. As you may know, if you read the material for a class before the class, it's easier to follow. And as we can see from those figures, relatively few students prepare for the classes. And when they do, it's quite often the Chinese textbook, even though their lesson will be in English. So that's another problem, lack of preparation reading the English textbook. Another problem is that the English courses they have are not effective. Okay. Now, on the one hand, you have the students who can't speak English very well. Now, here you have another problem, is that some of the lecturers and professors, they also can't speak English very well. According to Chang, the proficiency of lecturers in English is quite poor, as is their pronunciation. You may remember Dr. Weiwei. Don't say that. Don't say that. Okay. Also, Asian students are used to a different kind of learning style, a Confucian learning style. And that is very teacher-centered, like now. The teacher speaks and the students listen. And they feel more comfortable with that. So when they have to adjust to an English teaching style, they have more problems. Okay, another problem is if you want your university to lecture in English, clearly you need to find a lot of professors who can speak English. And that's not always easy, as Yip points out. You have competition from other countries, such as Singapore, Malaysia. They're all trying to get these high-quality professors that can also speak English. They generally command a higher salary too. So it's a difficult situation. Okay. So, as you can see there, also from Yip, there's a comparison of the MBA program costs. So you can assume that the salaries for professors are higher in Hong Kong. Maybe it will attract more of these professors who can speak English. Okay, so EMI courses, even with these problems, it would appear from this data from Chang that most students and teachers, I don't know, believe that they improve as a result of the English courses. 63% do. Although significantly, 37% is quite a high proportion, don't think they improve. Okay, so that leads me to the recommendations section. So of course so far we've seen that there are problems with student English ability, students' way of learning, and possibly professors' ability, and professors' and availability of professors. So the recommendations will link to that. Okay. So, firstly, one problem with those English courses is that they are not very successful. 37% find they're not successful. That's because they're general English courses. So, when preparing for a university vote, I'm recommending that EAP, English for Academic Purposes, is more suitable than general English, because it will prepare them with the kind of vocabulary and style that they need for the university. My second point is that universities should increase the availability of books to their students. For example, here at RMIT, you can see the library has been greatly developed, and it encourages students to read more in English. Finally, there should be strategies to attract more foreign professors. Some strategies, I'm a bit vague about what they are, so I'd like to know what they are. I know you would. And the Ministry should offer training courses for EMI lecturers, and I'm sure you'd like to know how, right? Okay, how they're going to do that and some detail of how they're going to do that. Okay, and they should create a learner-centered environment. Again, you, the audience, would probably like to know how that's going to happen in a bit of detail. And here's my reference list. How many minutes?